Well, good morning. It's been a while since I've made a video, so I thought to kind of end out our semester, it'd be good to make a video, to share a little bit of kind of where we're heading as a student ministry. There's a lot that I can't reveal. There's a lot that I can't say yet, just because of pieces that are going to be kind of trickling through our church as a whole. That we're going to be laying out over the summer up into August, which is also going to affect what I share next week to our parents at the Flubbernever. But what I did want to do is I know there's been questions and thoughts about, okay, is this set up? Is the way we program? How do we address kids coming from all over and from different schools? How do we tackle those issues? A room full of 15 to 20 sixth graders like we had last night. How does that affect our dynamics? And it did. It's why our programming was different last night. It was purposefully different. And so how do you do that every week if we're combined? And so I wanted to spend just a few minutes answering a few of those questions for you. Before I do that, I know next week is where we really get to publicly thank you as small group leaders for your time and your sacrifice and your passion and your energy. But I think it's good for me to say to you, thank you. Just personally, there's going to be moments that I get a chance to love on you and give a gift to say thank you. But this is sincerely from my heart. Our student ministry lives and dies by our small groups. And I truly believe that. And as we continue moving forward, that small group culture, which takes time to unravel and develop, years it takes to shift culture. You have been a part of at least the first year and a half, some of you less, some of you more, and hopefully jumping back on in August with us as we look to even define small groups as an even more integral part of our student ministry, and that's going to look very different for middle school and high school. So thank you. From the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for your time and your efforts and your sacrifice, your passion for students, your energy to come after work and continue doing what you're doing. I know some of you have jobs that are extremely exhausting and already time-consuming. And so as you're thinking about next year, please don't just take what's been hard into account. Think about what's been good, and think about as we begin to unroll new vision and process that has that goes along with the philosophy that has always been there. Would you consider another year? And so, or longer, which is one of the shifts that's going to happen. But we'll get to that. I wanted to hit the three main questions that I've been getting from you as small group leaders, from some parents, things we've been discussing as a staff. So the first one is, of course, middle school and high school being combined. The way that really felt last night was very different from even just the week before or the week before, because the week before were small groups. So 2 weeks prior. And to answer your question, middle school and high school, I can give you this much, will be split starting next semester. I was just talking to Douglas Holtzcall this morning, and I told him I can't believe it's only taken really a year, because the first semester I was here, it was kind of half together, and then we split them towards the end of the semester. So, I can't believe that we're already here, but we're splitting again. Now, there's going to be tons of questions that come from that. Where do I fall if I'm in middle school small group leader? Where do I fall if I'm a high school small group leader? There's going to be a lot of decisions that happen there. Programming is going to look very different. We're going to look to serve them in where they are developmentally. And so the way that we do small groups is going to look different. The way that we do teaching is going to look different. The amount of time we spend for games and small groups is going to be very different. So there's a lot of different things that play into that. But what I can tell you is, in the long run, it's going to be healthy for our student ministry. And it's setting us up to go, who else are we going to bring in to partner with Nick to continue growing a healthy student ministry? A long-lasting. It's really what we're going for, longevity. I know I said this in my prayer last night, and it's not that we aren't a cool, hip student ministry, and I don't mind that, but the longevity comes from students engaging where they are developmentally and letting small group leaders have an integral part of that. And so that's the first big one. I know there's going to be questions, and those things are going to be rolled out throughout the summer of what that looks like and how we play that out. And a lot of unique training is going to go into whether you're in middle school helping or high school helping. So those of you who come from back when we were combined, it won't be the same leaders as far as small group leaders. We're not going to be asking you to do both. You're going to pick one. Each one's going to be about an hour and a half. Middle school will be just a tad bit shorter, probably an hour and 15 minutes, hour and 20 minutes. And you're going to pour into that hour and a half. And you are going to have fewer students so that you can really become an advocate for them and the family. And a partnership is going to happen. And so we're really, really, really going, okay, we've already introduced a culture. We already have small group leaders playing that culture out. But now how do we take it a step further? How do we really become a student ministry that is led by small groups? And so everything we do will begin to come around that small group idea. And so if it doesn't enhance our small groups, if it doesn't enhance our small group leaders, we toss it and we get rid of it, because we truly believe moving forward that the philosophy continues to unfold. And as you dig deeper into small groups, you realize it has to become everything. It can't just become something that we do. It has to become everything that defines us. And so that's the first piece, middle school, high school, which kind of led into the second piece of what's now the new role of the small group leader. I think I just explained that. The only other thing I would add to that is the time commitment for middle school and high school will look very different. Relationally, a middle schooler doesn't need as much as a high schooler. They just need to know that they're loved and cared for. It could simply just be showing up for a few of their events throughout the semester. Done. And you've really affirmed them on Wednesday nights, affirmed their identity in Christ, who they are in Christ, how they're wired, that they are important, that they are special, that they do have a place. And then you go and support them to come behind that love. And then you partner with families, which can happen through text or email or phone calls. And so that commitment looks very different than a high school commitment that says you really need 2 to 3 hours a week with those high school students to really make an impact, because this is the season where when you're pushing into 10th, 11th, 12th grade especially, these are the times where they need to know that they have a place to call at 10:30 at night because they're about to make a really bad decision and they need someone to talk them through it. Or they need someone to meet up for with breakfast or lunch or dinner because they need to talk about something that they just did that they feel really guilty and shameful about. And then on top of that, you have the family element. And so the time commitment is very different, but they're both very different roles. And we're not going to lie about time commitments. We're going to be very honest. We're going to say, you know what? If you're going to be a high school small group leader, this is your commitment. And we're going to make the group smaller, and so they're more manageable, but there's still the commitment there. And if you have 3 to 4 girls or 3 to 4 guys, then that's what's going to happen. And we want to be honest about that. We want to go, here is the commitment. We want to raise expectations on those age groups, but we also want to equip you, and we also want to allow you to manage it well. And so not burn you out, not overwhelm you. And so that's that fine partnership of high expectation, high partnership. And so that's exciting, but yet there's things that play into that. One of those will be, in the course of a year, some sort of Friday night, Saturday training that is not local and not done by me, which just means McKinney, Plano, Dallas, to really train you in how to affirm middle school students as a smart group leader and continue to affirm, but then also begin to mobilize high school students. So those are the 2 words you're going to hear me say a lot moving forward. The last thing, I know this video is longer, but hopefully because of these questions, you're okay with that. The last thing I would say that kind of comes up in question form is how do we continue addressing? We have tons of different students coming from tons of different areas. And, we had 49 students last night. You put that, I would say, just kind of put that around 60. We were low on our normal students last night. I was just thinking about 7 to 10 students that we didn't have that have normally been here. So put that around 60. And the demographics of that 60 are high TCS, high Sherman, scattered. And when I say Sherman, I mean high school or Pioneer. And so those really aren't the same school. So how do we continue to address that issue? Well, part of that is going to be splitting and making our small groups smaller so that those relationships are knitted even more. Part of that is going to be that commitment of going a game here or there, lunch, dinner, Sunday afternoon, here and there. And here's the thing, it's always the expectation and partnership. And so, yes, we're going to do things on Wednesday nights to help you as small group leaders, but you're also going to have to help yourself as a small group leader. And that's going to be the pull, is because you do have families, you do have jobs, but the expectation of the church never lowers because of our personal calendars, because of our personal budgets, because of our personal sin struggles, because none of that lowers the expectation of God going, we need lots of shepherds. And if we want to do this well, that's how you have to begin thinking of yourself as a mini shepherd. Yes, I get paid to put together a program and a ministry and to develop leaders. But that doesn't take away from the fact that if you stripped all that away from me, I would still be a shepherd. I would still be one pouring into the lives of believers. And that is still my role. And so it's the partnership level of going, we're changing Wednesday night, we're shifting it to really help small groups and to come around the small group. But we also have a leader. And that leader becomes a shepherd. And that shepherd is intentional, much more intentional about going, if there's a leader and a co-leader, and I have 3 students, 3 to 4 students, they have 3 to 4 students, though that is my focus. Those 3 to 4 students is what I pour everything into. I don't waste my breath on anything else but those 3 to 4 students. And if we had every leader become shepherd mentality, and they had 3 to 4 students, can you imagine what we'd be talking about in 3 to 4 years? Not that issue, not the issue of we come from all over the place, but rather we're growing out the seams because students want their friends to be a part of what they're getting, and families want other families to be a part of what they're getting from their small group leader. An advocate for the family, an advocate for the student, partnering together, all about small groups. I mean, blows my mind to think about the possibilities. And so, we'll see you next week. Appreciate your help. Love you guys, and excited about the future.